ॐ शन्नो मित्रः शं वरुणः शन्नो भवद्वर्यमा शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्भक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु भक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः we were in the middle of a bird's eye view of everything that has been studied so far because we had this gap. And so we saw yesterday, just very, very briefly, a full sweep of the Upanishad. First we saw why it is important to study Bhashya, what we get out of it, all the reasons we saw. We saw also then this particular Upanishad and what it gives us. We saw that, and then we saw the reasons. We saw the ways in which this Upanishad takes us to the discussion of the I, the self. And the self of the Upanishad being the self revealed rather by the Upanishad being completely different from the self that I think I am. What is it that I think I am? I think I am not enough. I think I am not okay. I think I am a donkey. I think I am self judgmental. I think I have self loath. I think I have fear. I think I am subject to sorrow. And so these are all the things that I think I am. But then what one thinks one is not the reality. Who are you to say that it is not the reality? How can you say that that's not the reality? Because you ask anybody, anywhere, at any time, do you want to be sad? What's the answer? Yes. Never. Nobody will say, yes, I want to be sad. Leave me alone, I want to be sad. Even if somebody says that, that is the wrong time to leave them alone. You have to say, let's have ice cream or go somewhere. So they are just saying that because they are wallowing in the misery. They have been attacked by the what? Bhoktritvam, victimhood, victimization. So even the person who says, leave me alone, doesn't want to be left alone. And so, therefore, what is the problem here? The problem is that it is very, very clear. The problem is very, very clear. What is the problem? My reality is not acceptable to me. What I think is my reality is totally unacceptable to me. In fact, I run away from it. I try to get rid of it through various means available to me. What are those means? From malls to balls. Those are the means. I keep going here, keep running here, and keep doing this, keep doing that, searching, 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 going, 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 running. This is the thing. And wherever you go, we know one thing, there you are. And if it is not one thing that is bothering you, it's what? Your mother. Okay, so it's another. If it's not one thing, it's another. If it is not this, it is that. Something or the other. One is trying to get rid of frantically through what? Through action. And so the Upanishad corrects this view very, very gently by dislodging, as we saw yesterday, body identification. The body identification is gently dislodged. How? By saying body is nothing but Brahman. Brahman is something that is what? We also saw this. Sat Chit Ananda. Brahman is Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Brahman is you. Brahman is that which is existent, which is the source of all existence. Brahman is that which is sentient, which is consciousness. And Brahman is that which is not limited by space or by time. This is what Brahman is, not limited by space or time, and is existent and is consciousness itself. And so this consciousness is me. There is no consciousness other than me. If there is a consciousness other than me, it cannot be limitless. I will be delimiting it. It will be delimiting me. So that is not at all possible. And so therefore, if there is such a thing called limitlessness, limitless consciousness, sentience, it has to be me. It has to be me alone. It cannot be other than me. This being the case, then therefore Brahman has to be recognized as my own Swarupa, my own reality, my own self. And this recognition is intrinsic to Brahman, which what is that called? Swarupa Lakshana. It is that without which it cannot be Brahman. If you say Brahman, Satchidananda, Satyam Jnanam Anantam comes, definitely comes. Then you say, then what do you say? Then you can see that this, this definition, even though it feels good, yes, I am Satyam Jnanam Anantam, yes, I am Satchidananda, aha, wonderful. It feels good. But then it's not just that. Why? Because I have to deal with this manifest universe. You see, there is a universe behind me. So there are raindrops there. And then there are the clouds that are raining. Sun is shining. Birds are there. And there is a peacock dancing in the middle. And trees are there. So many things are there. There is a whole universe. I have to deal with this universe. And when I deal with this universe, do I feel like I'm Satchidananda? Say no, so we can move on. I definitely do not feel like I'm Satchidananda, because when somebody else gets annoyed at me, I get annoyed at myself. If somebody, even as much as disapproves of me, gives me a disapproving look, I immediately question myself. And if somebody says, oh, this is what you did, immediately I start feeling bad that somebody said something and all these things. And so definitely, while negotiating this universe, the Satchidananda, appears to run away, appears to be in hiding. And I, in confronted with this vast, intractable, ununderstandable universe, I feel all alone. I feel alienated from that. I feel alienated from my own source. I feel somewhat adrift. And so, therefore, the second definition is very important. We saw that. What was the second definition? Jagat Karanam Brahma. Brahman is the cause of the entire universe. The whole universe of names and forms, words and meanings that I encounter is what? Is nothing but Brahman alone. Brahman alone is. Nothing else is there. And this is everything is infinite Brahman. And with this infinite Brahman, this with this infinite Brahman, I have to make peace. Because this body is also infinite Brahman, limitless Brahman. The Jagat is limitless Brahman. And so therefore, we have the second definition, that out of this Brahman alone has come this Satchidananda, this Jagat, which is non-separate from Satchidananda, which is everything, which is Satchidananda plus name and form. Like a croissant with chocolate filling. Croissant is the form, and the chocolate filling is what? Brahman makes the croissant sweet, makes it nice, makes it tasty. So, like that, Brahman is the feeling that makes everything enjoyable. So, when I'm enjoying something in the Jagat, I'm enjoying what? Brahman alone. And so, this was very important to understand, because otherwise, there'll be a big gap in my understanding and raising questions such as, I know I'm Brahman, but I don't feel it. That, this, I don't experience it. Experiencer is Brahman. Every object of experience non-separate from Brahman. And the means of experience is also what? Brahman alone. Here a Brahman, there a Brahman, everywhere Brahman, Brahman. Yes, this is what it is. Old Mac Jiva has to understand this. uh, has to understand this, and then get rid of the self-ignorance which keeps one away from the truth of oneself. This is what one has to understand. And so then the whole, this, from this standpoint, the second definition makes us see the Jagat, which is just in the form of laws, which are non-separate from Brahman. This time, what kind of Brahman? The Brahman that wears a crown saying Jagat Karanam, the cause of the universe. The one who declares, I am the cause of this universe. So the Jagat that is the cause of this universe, that alone is being talked about here. Very, very beautiful. And then we have we have a very wonderful analysis here. And then this is what we are going to see today, and we'll catch up with where we are. And so the this consciousness, which is Satyam Jnanam Anantam, because of a Shakti, and as though Shakti, we have seen all this is just a revision, and as though Shakti, called Maya Shakti, goddess Shakti, because of that, as though Shakti gains the power to project the universe, sustain the universe, and take back the universe. And so this Shakti is what? And as though Shakti, which Brahman wears like a cloak, like a grand cloak with all kinds of designs, galaxies, everything. And the Jiva also says, where is my cloak? And Maya Shakti says, okay, well, what are you famous for? Tell me, and I'll embroider that on the cloak. Complaints. Okay, you got it. Tears. Okay, you got it. Fears. Okay, anxiety, sorrow. This is who I am. So it is like a clown's cloak. A clown's cloak with a fool's cap. This is the getup of the jiva. Why? Because that is what one has internalized. One has internalized that one is limited, one is finite, one is not enough, one is upset, one is subject to sorrow, one is a mortal, one is subject to mortality, one is subject to anxiety, one is subject to fear. And all these things which one has internalized, which one has believed, one projects. So this is Maya Shakti endowed with, from the standpoint of the Jiva, What is it? It's endowed with self-ignorance. Maya Shakti for the Jiva manifests as self-ignorance. Maya Shakti for Ishvara manifests as what? Self-knowledge, all knowledge. So all knowledge and all ignorance. Now what is happening over here? Very interesting. That same consciousness is wearing the get-up of a king and says, I am the king of the universe. The same consciousness is as though wearing a cloak of fears and tears and says, oh, I'm frightened, I'm incomplete, I'm not whole. So this is important because this is where the Mahavakya comes. And where is the Mahavakya? I don't think Taittiriya has Mahavakya, people will say. Taittiriya has the best Mahavakya. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. In the definition itself, there is Mahavakya. And what is this definition? Satyam, that which is existent, Jnanam, that is where the Jiva comes in. You are Jnanam. You are sentient. You are aware of yourself and everything becomes evident to you. You are nothing but consciousness. That is what jnanam is. So the jnanam brings in the jiva. And then satyam jnanam anantam. Therefore, there is it is a mahavakya. It is a statement of oneness between jiva and Ishvara, which the Upanishad slowly unravels and reveals. Then the Upanishad goes on to understand the cosmology of creation. And here the purport is not to understand the cosmology of creation. Oh, then why is it given? It is again given because, because one needs something to hold on to. Because one keeps asking questions. Where did I come from? And what is my purpose? When did the first jiva come? When did the first karma start? When did the first ajnanam start? All these things have to be told as anadi. They never started. But they are subject to end. They don't start. And so, therefore, we have to see this. And then, so we are not interested in the slightest with the cosmology of creation. It has some entertainment value. It has some ability to do upashamana to the desire to know what came when. Upashamana means it has the ability to assuage some things, which when did this come to be known, etc., etc. If somebody asks, you have the ability to say that. The Upanishad tries to just to quell the questions by presenting a beautiful cosmology of creation. And the cosmology of creation, in this cosmology of creation, it is not important to know what was created first, what came next, after that, what came. Not in the slightest bit interested. Instead, the cosmology of creation is presented beautifully through a series of statements. First, it talks about the connection between the universe, the projected universe, and the desire of the jivas. The desire of the jivas to have a stomping ground. Only when there is a stomping ground, I can have some experiences. If I am disembodied and hanging around somewhere, where will the experiences come? How can I have experiences? I can't have experiences at all. And so, therefore, the jiva, is at the center fold of this whole jagat. And so the jiva, which was one with Bhagavan, is what now? The jiva that is one with Bhagavan wants to be separate. But why? Why does the jiva want to be separate? Because the jiva wants to, as I said, have all kinds of experiences. And because the jiva wants to have all kinds of experiences, therefore it is given here, okay, here is your jagat. So kamayat. Ishvara doesn't have desires. Ishvara desired on behalf of the jiva. Bahusyam praja yeti. Then Ishvara kind of sighed and said, okay, let me become many, as it were, because these jivas are not going to let me sit in peace. That's why we have stories in the Puranas to illustrate this. The Shiva is sitting in deep meditation, and Parvati comes with her anklets and and dances in front of him. And Parvati gets a bad rap. Like, like, oh, she's the temptress, she's the seductress. She's not the temptress or the seductress. She's doing what is that dhyana bhanga, nididhyasana bhanga. She's spoiling his meditation. No such thing. She is saying there is an inner restlessness. There is something rubbing together. There is something that needs to be expressed. And these jivas are nothing but an expression of Ishvara, the same glory of Ishvara which is evident in a kind of a latent way in meditation, shown in Shiva's meditation, is now broadcast in the dance of Shakti. It is made much more real. It is made much more, what's the word for it? Right in the face. You cannot escape this dance. So she dances, he opens his eyes, and then the Jagat is created. This is the Puranic cosmology. Here also the same thing, the desire of the jivas, then he gives rise to this Jagat. Bahusyam, may I become many? Because where will Ishvara bring the raw materials? If you want to bake a cake, you can go to the neighbors and borrow some flour, sugar, and milk, and all the things, and some butter. Poor Ishvara, where will he go? Where is the butter? No better place than Ishvara itself. Butter is Bhagavan. Bhagavan is not butter. And so this is how it is. The raw material here is known as Ishwari. And that which coordinates all the raw materials and makes them dance in a wonderful tune. The choreographer is Ishvara. Ishwari and Ishvara together make the universe. Beautiful, very, very beautiful. And so then we have this whole Jagat. Bahusyam. And what is this Jagat? This Jagat is nothing but the Bahu Bhavanam, the becoming many as though of this one Satchidananda Atma. Very, very wonderful. Then what happens? Then we see that as a idagam sarvam asrijat. Everything was created. Created? No, 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 manifest. The creation is more of it's not so much a srishti creation, it is more of a abhivyakti, a manifestation. So this creation was manifest, and then in this manifestation, what happens? In this manifestation, we find that there is a lot of wonders. Idam sarvam asrijat. Yadidam kincha. What? It did not create, meaning it created everything. And not only did it create all the shells, like the croissants and everything, it filled them up with itself. This Satchidanandam Brahma filled up everything with itself alone. Idagam sarvam asrijat. And tat srishtva tadevanupravishat. This is what is called anupravesha shruti. Anupravesha shruti, it entered, as it were, every single part of creation. So then what? Brahman was nice and chubby, Satchidananda. After it entered the creation, it became emaciated because it got used up in the creation. Right or wrong? Absolutely wrong. Not at all correct. Not at all correct. Why? Because since it is limitless, then it cannot lose weight. Cannot at all lose weight. Since it is totally limitless, it is not losing weight, it is nowhere there. And then, so therefore, what? So therefore, we see that this as though lends its presence to all the things in the Jagat Brahman, and then in this way it populates the Jagat without undergoing any change at all. Therefore, Jagat is Brahman, Brahman is not the Jagat. So this is on the total side, and on the individual side also we saw how to disidentify from body identification, from mind identification, pranic identification. I am the doer. I am the what is that? I am the doer and I am the done in identification. So that is the homework on the individual level, by Ishwarizing the body, by Ishwarizing the mind, the senses and everything. And on the collective level, we saw how this whole Satchidananda alone is manifested as the rock. Everything from the rock to the Jiva is what? Is Brahman alone. This much we have seen. And then we also saw how the quote unquote entry of this Brahman into each and every aspect of the creation has taken place. How did it enter? There is a lot of discussion. Then finally, Adi Shankara says it entered just like Devadatta. Devadatta means common name in ancient India. If you need one fellow, you say Devadatta. If you need two fellows, what do you say? Devadatta, Somadatta. And if you need three fellows, you say Devadatta, Somadatta, Yajnadatta. So like this, these were all common names. So Adi Shankara says Brahman entered, as it were, the whole creation. How? Like Devadatta enters his house. Can you say when Devadatta has the Griha Pravesha, the housewarming ceremony, the ceremonial entry of Devadatta into this house, can you say that Devadatta is one with the house? No, you can't. Why? Because the house is a place where the Devadatta is available for transaction. Like on Devadatta's driving license, his home address will be written. This is where you live. This is where you are from. This particular house in this particular county, in this particular state, in this particular country. This is where you are. And this is what is talked about. So therefore, the so therefore what? So therefore, we see this very, very, very clearly. We see this whole thing of how the Brahman entered all these aspects or cycles of creation without undergoing any change. And then what? Then what is this body, mind, sense complex? That too is a quote unquote house for Brahman. So where is Brahman? You can't ask the question. And it's better to ask the question. What is the question? Where is Brahman not? Where is Brahman not? Nowhere. Brahman is available everywhere. When? At all times. And so therefore, this Brahman has entered this Upadhi. We saw a new term also, Upadhi. Upadhi means what? The Upa Samipe Sthitva, then Swarupam Adatte, Swadharmam Adatte, Anyatra iti upadhi. So upadhi means what? Upadhi means that which remaining with something or next to something lends its qualities to that other thing. And what is our stock example? Crystal. So we have a piece of crystal, and then what? You put a red cloth behind the crystal. Then you say what? Oh, red crystal, but the crystal is not red. Then you put green cloth behind the crystal. Then you say the crystal is green. The crystal is not green. It's neither red nor green. So the green and the red become upadhis for the crystal, which is free of being either red or green. So this body, mind, sense complex becomes an upadhi for what? Brahman. So this very interesting kind of an amalgam of the infinite dwelling, as it were, in the finite. A very interesting mix up of the infinite and the finite coexisting, not just in this body, but you see in all the objects. Whatever I see is perishable. This we have to really understand. You don't have to look at each and everything, you can just see that. This is what is illustrated by the story of Bhasmasura. Bhasmasura was a asura, a rakshasa, a demon-like being who wanted world domination. They all do, okay? they all want world domination. Don't ask why. But somehow, I mean, I think I would be very bored if I asked a boon for world domination, and I think most people would find that very boring, but not these asuras. They all want to dominate the world. And poor Shiva, Ashutosha means very easily and quickly pleased. And he just says Tathastu for anybody who asks even once. So Bhasmasura said he was the opposite of King Midas, in the Western fairy tale. In the Western fairy tale, the king wanted everything he touched to turn into gold. And here he said, I want the power to touch anything, it should immediately become ashes. Tathastu, said Lord Shiva. And what was Bhasmasura's next act? To run after Lord Shiva with his hands outstretched. Come here, let me convert you into ashes. Shiva says, I'm already wearing enough ash. Oh my God, where shall I go? I'm already ash. And so, where shall I run? Where shall I run? He says, of course, I'll run to Mr. Cash, Vishnu. So, Ash runs to Cash, and then Vishnu says, you're always getting into these kinds of scrapes. You are too kind. Look at what you've done. We have to extricate you from this. Okay, leave it to me. Have a cup of tea. Lakshmi will make you a cup of tea. Let me go and deal with this. And he dons on a very beautiful maiden's avatar, Upadhi. And Bhasmasura has love at first sight. Immediately he just falls in love. And he wants to embrace her. No, no, no. She says, I'm not that kind of a girl. We have to get married first. And we have some pre-marriage rituals. We have to do nyasa. Nyasa, nyasa, nyasa. Meaning we have to touch various things, and then we have to do shuddhikaran, means we have to cleanse all of them, and then we have to do chant some mantras. He says, anything priye, anything my beloved, I'll do anything for you. And then what happens? What happens is that, she just does some nice Bharatanatyam dance. She touches this, that, everything. And then finally she goes like this. And he also goes like this and is in a heap of ashes. So this Bhasmasura, in a way, is a teaching that really, our hands are also like his hands. Even though we are nowhere like him, we don't want world domination or anything like that. But the example here is only that whatever you touch perishes. If not now, a few years from now. If not in this generation, in your children's generation, in your grandchildren's generation, it will perish. Anything you touch perishes, like Bhasmasura's hands. And then so we have the interesting coexistence, as it were, of the perishable and the imperishable in the same spot. And then the problem is that the imperishable Brahman is not an object and I can't discern it. So therefore, even though I am in love with the imperishable, I keep expressing that love in the form with certain forms, with certain words, with certain longings to what? The perishable. The perishable is another body, or the perishable is an object that I desire, an object of desire. So the perishable is what I deal with. I do not know how to deal with the imperishable. The imperishable is beyond. In fact, the imperishable is I alone. And so here I am. I myself am an interesting, the jiva itself is an interesting conglomerate of the perishable and the imperishable. So the body, perishable, mind, perishable, sense organs, perishable. Everything is perishable. And the one who keeps saying everything is perishable, imperishable. The one who is this witness consciousness, Sakshi Chaitanya. The Chaitanya in the form of the Sakshi. Even the Sakshi resolves when there is nothing to witness. Even the Sakshi resolves. So therefore what? Perishable. Everything is perishable except the one who says everything is perishable. Everything is perishable. And so therefore, now the question comes, how does this knowledge, I am Brahman, take place? Very simple, very easy. How does this knowledge take place? How do I know I am the imperishable Brahman? Because I can't see Brahman anywhere. Hello, where are you? Nowhere. You who the Brahman doesn't echo back. Who? You? It doesn't say. And so then, so therefore, how do I understand I am this Brahman? How do I look for this Brahman? Looker is Brahman. How do I stumble upon the Brahman? When stumbler is Brahman. What do I do? And so, therefore, this itself is a very big question, very big question. And there, the Upanishad helps us and then takes us back to the first line itself. Yo Veda, Yo Brahma Veda, the one who knows Brahman. How? Nihitam Guhaya, as the one that is sitting in the cave of the heart. Heart, buddhi, one and the same. The one that's sitting in a cave. Where is this cave? The cave is Antakarana, where you cave into every feeling. That's why it's called cave. That's one reason it's called cave. Another reason it's called cave is because it is shrouded in darkness. And what is this darkness? Self-ignorance. I don't know who I am. Just like the sun that is eclipsed, I do not know who I am. So the cave is dark. And the cave, unless one is a meditator and looking for a cave to meditate in, the cave is also a little bit scary. Little bit scary. Oh my God, it's dark, therefore it's scary. I don't know what I will find in this. What will be there? I don't know. And so it's a little bit scary, it's a little bit frightening. And so the cave is just very upsetting. And then, therefore, what? So, therefore, it is called cave. It is also called cave because it has not just the darkness, which is ignorance, but the ignorance gives rise to anyatha jnanam, wrong perceptions, misperceptions. So the cave is dark, and the darkness gives rise to dampness, where the sun do not shine. Where the sun does not shine, what is there? What is there is damp. Dampness is there. And then so the cave is damp. And the dampness grows kind of, little mold. And what is this mold? Wrong understanding, mold and mildew. And the darkness and the dampness also gives rise to certain deposits of calcium, etc., in the form of the stalactites and stalagmites of raga and dvesha. That is what the cave is. Things that go from top and things that grow from the bottom. And I never can tell which one is which one. Stalagmite and stalactite, doesn't matter, whichever one. And then so you find that these are the raga dveshas. And then It is always damp. It is not a very nice, it's not a very welcoming place. Then there is some kind of things which are flapping around, the bats of doubt and despair. They see very well, but you think they don't see. And then you are afraid that they may crash into you, even though they're not going to crash into you because they have sonic, they are guided by their sonic, uh, sonic whatever, abilities. So unless you're a fruit, they're not interested in you. But still, you are afraid that they may crash into you. That's why they are called fruit bats, most of them. Very common variety. And so then this is the cave of the heart, the antakarana, filled with self-doubt and despair and drip, drip, drip of sorrow and puk, puk, puk of fear and the stalactites and stalagmites of calloused longings, and then the bats in the form of despair and doubt flying around. Who wants such an antakarana? Raise your hand. Nobody wants this kind of an antakarana. In fact, one wants a well-lit place. Why? Because actually there is a temple. It's a temple. Bhagavan is residing here. But I don't see. I don't see Bhagavan. I don't see anything. In fact, this is all how our temples are, really are. So you go from one door to another door to another door, and then finally there is a sanctum. The sanctum doesn't have any artificial lights, all dark, made of black, what is that? Stones, black tiles. So you don't see anything. It's dark. And then the goddess is also made of a black monolith statue that is also what? Dark. And then if it's a South Indian temple, the pujari is also dark. Then what? You don't see anything at all. Then the pujari says, I'll do arati. Takes the camphor lamp and lights up the goddess Meenakshi from head to toe. Ooh, wonderful. I'm so glad I came. Look at her sari, look at her jewelry. This is wonderful. So the camphor lamp is the camphor is Atma Ajnana. The camphor is not knowing the truth of the self. That is the camphor. And that camphor is lit up. This Atma Ajnanam is burnt by the fire of knowledge, the fire of the teachings of the Upanishad given by the Guru to the Shishya. And the camphor is used because it burns without a trace. If you use wax, it will just drip, but the camphor does not drip, does not leave a residue. It just burns without a trace. And then what? Then the goddess, which is enshrined in this dark, dank place, is lit up. The same thing happens when one studies the Upanishad. So the place where Brahman is cannot be talked about, but we can say that the place where Brahman obtains can be talked about as the Buddhi. Where is Brahman? Brahman is exactly where it is recognized. Brahman obtains exactly in the place where it is recognized. In fact, it's the same place where the Jagat is also recognized. Where is the Jagat recognized? Right here in between these temples. So Jagataha Upalabdhisthanam, meaning the place where the Jagat is recognized, like Ghataha Asti, Pataha Asti, Mataha Asti. Cloth is, pot is, cloth is. And then what? Shankaracharya's abode, like a matha, is. Is. Everything is. And then when I say ghata asti, ghata is, pot is. When I say pot is, that means what? Pot is an object of my knowledge. I have objectified the pot. So the whole Jagat becomes evident to me where? That is the question. Buddhau. In the Buddhi alone, the entire Jagat of names and forms becomes evident. Buddhi means Antakarana. It's all the same. Buddhi, mind, everything is the same in this particular context. Sometimes we have to make a difference, but here it's the same. Buddha, in the Antakarana itself, this is known. It is known to me. It is evident to me. I understand this. I understand this is a pot. And this is what is pot? Brahman. Who is the knower of the pot? So from now on, whatever I ask, the answer is Brahman. Okay? Who is the knower of the pot? Brahman. And the eyes, because of which I was able to objectify the pot, what are they? Brahman. Sight is Brahman, object is Brahman. The subject knowing the pot is Brahman. The object and the subject are one and the same. And that is also Brahman. And this is how the whole Jagat is recognized, the same place. Jagataha upalabdhisthanam. Then the Jagataha upalabdhisthanam, Jagataha adhishthanasya upalabdhisthanam eva. The place where the Jagat is recognized happens to be exactly the same place where the truth of the Jagat is also recognized as myself. This you have to understand carefully. I'll repeat it. The same place where the Jagat is recognized is also the same place where the source of the Jagat is also recognized. Why? For two reasons. One is because you don't have two buddhis. Do you have two buddhis? One to recognize object and one to recognize subject. Then it would make my life a lot easier. No problem, no confusion. Because one buddhi is just for Brahma buddhi and another buddhi is Jagat buddhi. So the Jagat buddhi and Brahma buddhi are two different places. Then it is easy. But that cannot be. Why? Because Brahman is Ekameva Dvitiyam. It is non-dually one. So there is only one buddhi, and the same buddhi, the effect is recognized, and the same buddhi, the cause is recognized, and in the same buddhi, the cause, that which is that which is manifesting as the cause, which is free of all causality, is recognized as oneself alone. Very fascinating. One buddhi, one single buddhi. That is why it has to be protected. Bhagavan has given some protection in the form of a skull, okay, so that the buddhi is intact. Few knocks on the head, nothing happens. Thank God. And then, further, we have to spiritually protect the buddhi. From what? From all kinds of all kinds of things. We have to protect the buddhi from wrong thinking, from wrong actions, from wrong identifications, through Shama, Dama, etc. All the, Vedanta 101. We have to protect the buddhi and then keep it available for Brahman Veshanam, for Atman Veshanam, for self-enquiry, for inquiry into Brahman. We keep it free. So this buddhi, only one buddhi, poor buddhi, is what? Overworked. It recognizes what is the effect, and then it recognizes the cause. Why? Because the effect is cause. Cause is not effect, but effect is cause. Everything is Brahman. So the place where the effect is recognized happens to be the same place where the cause is also recognized. And then the causality, we understand, comes and goes. And then what? So therefore, that which holds, which flaunts the causality is Satchidanandam Brahma. And what is this buddhi? Satchidanandam Brahma. Up till now we have come. And then can somebody share the Bhashya? Can you put it here? The Sanskrit Bhashya, can you share? And I will share the English one because there are many people who haven't seen this. No, share means not there, Vasanti, thank you, but not there. I would like you to share it as a PDF in the uh, in the uh, in the chat box, okay? Yeah.
Yes.
So English Bhashya I gave, and for those who cannot read Devanagari, that will be a nice thing to have. And then let's see where it is. I will point out if I can find it. I shared it all right. Yeah, here it is. If I can find it, I will point out the page so that you can follow. In the Sanskrit Bhashya, that the page number is, I think, 283, top. Okay. And in the English one, I will show it to you. The English one will be somewhere around in the 60s. Maybe. Hold on. Yeah, very close. It's coming. Yeah, Pravesha Shruti. Actually, we are now in the 70s. So open it to page 76. Page 76, last paragraph, if you are following the English Bhashya. Thank you, Harinder. Yes, that is what it is. Nahi anyatra upalabhyate brahma. Nahi, not indeed. Anyatra means elsewhere. Elsewhere means what? Other than in the buddhi. Nahi anyatra upalabhyate brahma. Brahman cannot be gained elsewhere. You cannot understand Brahman in your toes or through your nose. Why? Because the nose is for smelling wonderful things. The toes are for walking and for other things. So you cannot say that I can know Brahman through some other means. You cannot know Brahman through any other means. Why? Nirvisheshat. Because it does not have any attributes. That which does not have any attributes is only one way of understanding that which does not have any attributes. As what? As yourself. Because how are you going to objectify that which does not have any attributes. If it has attributes like Neela, Pita, if you say yellow, blue, etc., that's different. So he gives a very nice example, that which is not having any attributes. So it doesn't have any attributes, and so how are you going to understand this? You can't understand it as other than yourself. Nahi anyatra upalabhyate brahman. So in this guha, in this cave which we have identified and described, in this guha, and what kind of a guha? Sentient, a place where sentiency self shines. In this place of shining sentiency, which is myself, which is the answer to the question, am I here? I don't ask the neighbor, do I exist? No. So in this guha, Brahman shines. And then it is asyameva guhayam. In this guha alone, so this Brahman has to be recognized, the Atma, the I has to be recognized. Therefore, tat pravesha prakalpyate, it was told. Because it was said what originally nihitam guhayam, meaning it is there in the guha. In the beginning, it was said, the one who knows Brahman as in the guha, available in this buddhi, it was pointed out. And so here also the same, the Upanishad is concluding this portion and pointing this out and says that this is buddhau pravishtaha atma. It is as though made to enter in the form of recognizing myself. It has to be recognized, and therefore it has to be recognized as myself, meaning what? This Brahman is not available anywhere else. Buddhau eva. And other than buddhi, this Chaitanya, this consciousness is not recognized elsewhere. No other place it is available, and also there is only one buddhi where I can recognize I am not the body, I am not the perishable body, the perishable mind, the perishable prana, the perishable senses. I am indeed Brahman alone. Why? Why should it be available only in the buddhi? Because it does not have any attributes. No substance. It is just it doesn't have any particular thing to say it has a form, it has a name, it has a shape, it has a color, it has a size. No. But still it can be recognized. Why? Because the buddhi is the appropriate place where this sentiency can shine and be recognized as such. Now, the funny thing is this, we have been talking a lot about the perishable and the imperishable coexisting, as it were, because that's the only way the recognition can take place. So, in the perishable buddhi, the imperishable Brahman shines. As what? Aham, aham iti sakshat. As I alone it shines. And then what? It needs the perishable buddhi in order to shine. Where else will it shine? It needs the perishable. So there is what? Sannikarsha. Sannikarsha means the proximity, the as though connection. The as though, what is that called? The as though being side by side. And Adi Shankara is about to give a beautiful example. We'll see in detail next time. It says, Raho ho Chandrarkavat. Like, how do we recognize Rahu? Rahu is Chaya Graha, shadow planet. So, how do you know something is shadow? The shadow can be understood only in the presence of light. Very beautiful analogy. Like in the solar eclipse, what comes in the way? The moon, the shadow of the moon in the form of Rahu, we say, eats up the sun. So because of the light of the sun, we recognize the shadow of the moon. And then again, in a lunar eclipse, the shadow of the earth eats up the moon, so to speak. And then again, because of the light of the moon, we recognize the shadow. Otherwise, Rahu is not understood at all. Rahu is not seen, not understood. Rahu means shadow. The shadow is not understood, not seen. Why is it not neither understood nor seen? Because it is has no vishesha. It has nothing. Shadow you cannot say has a size. Shadow doesn't have a shape. Shadow doesn't have a reality. So it has to shine it is recognized in proximity with all other things like the sun, the moon, etc. So so similarly, Brahman has to be recognized in proximity with all the things that are perishable. The imperishable Brahman is recognized in proximity with everything perishable. More we'll see next week. पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ. Yeah, happy Shivaratri to everyone. That is just one day before we meet, I think. That is on the 8th of March. Okay. Yeah. Om Namah Shivaya.
Thank you, Swaminiji.
Thank you. Take care. Hari.